Welcome to Sex Talk Radio, a podcast that explores sex and kink through candid and curious conversation. Join me and expert guests in unpacking taboos and making sex talk more fun. Recently launched, I have created the Sexy Society. It is an online community for kink and sex-positive women. We will have monthly workshops, and there's a lot of great posts in there. You can learn more, and you can try it for 2 weeks if you go to sextalkradio.com. That's spelled SEGGS talkradio.com. This episode of Sex Talk Radio is brought to you by Afterglow. Afterglow is a female-founded ethical porn company based here in Austin, Texas. Go to xoafterglow.com, that is XOAFTERGLOW.com, and use code XOTHEA for a week free, and be sure to check out my favorite video of theirs, Lip Service.
So we're starting. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Savannah.
Hi. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Really quick, I'll just mention my friend Kyle introduced us. I reached out to him and was like, I need more cool experts on the podcast in the sex space. I want to talk to professionals. I want to talk to people that can dig into some of the like nitty gritty, more psychology stuff. And he instantly told me about you, which I had messaged you in the past already. I noticed about therapy because I was like eagerly trying to find a kink positive therapist. But yeah, anyways, quick side note on Kyle. My friend connected me to him when I literally like came out as kinky. I was like, I just need to talk to somebody. And it was so cute. He was so like kind with me. But anyways, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the space, and if it was always sex therapy or how you started. And yeah.
So about 15 years ago, I started working with marginalized couples. And so although my first degree was like a master's in marriage, couples, family therapy, right? And then you have to go through like a residency, get your LPC, get your LPCS, right, to be a supervisor or whatever. My first internship ever in 2007 was working with all non-binary, gender fluid, transgender, LGBTQI, like how to navigate the career world and coming out for who they are and be accepted.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I was privileged because I was there at Texas State, so close to Austin. And so I was like, hey, we are in an area where acceptance is key and it's growing, and this is forever ago, right? But then fast forward, I was working with this super, super gorgeous redhead client, and she has impacted my life forever. And she asked me, are you sex certified? And she and her partner were opening their relationship, polyamory. So I had the skill set and like knowledge, but I was lacking the letters. And when she called me on that, I forever was like, do I get a PhD in psychology? Do I get a PhD in sexology? But all the PhD programs were like not offering any additional knowledge or training. So I found this phenomenal program.
What do you mean not additional? Like not like going into certain categories or not going
Right,
specific enough?
Yeah, like they were offering things like, oh, you'll walk out of this being a supervisor, but I already had that licensure. Or you'll walk out of this like knowing how to do research papers and write. Well, I did that too.
Yeah.
And like in the meantime, I'd authored a book, right? Healthy Me, Healthy Us. And that focuses on like healthy sexuality as humans.
Amazing.
And so I taught human sexuality like as a professor at the Art Institute, right?
Yeah.
And so I was looking for a program that would help people feel like I was more credentialed and specialized. And this redheaded hottie, I swear to
First, I thought you were going
you.
to say guy. I'm like, this sounds naughty.
I know, she is like
Or maybe it's still
fantabulous.
naughty.
Oh, goodness. No. Naughty. I wish I could just one day like hug her and thank her for this. But yeah, she changed my life. And I literally found my space in the world. And so I went and decided to get another master's in sexology, specializing in kink, BDSM,
That is so fucking
marginalized
cool.
couples, things like that. And so I have heard a thing, but that's essentially like how I ended up being like an ASEC certified sex therapist.
What is ASEP? Is that what you said?
It's
what does it stand for?
ASEC. It's the American Association for Sex Educators, Counselors,
Okay.
and Therapists.
And you have to be, but I think I've looked into it. You can look into their programs if you're just a educator, right? Or like,
Right. So like
'cause I've looked into like wanting to go deeper on the knowledge and the psychology and background.
I think like anybody could benefit from it, especially in
Yeah.
a position where you are so open-minded, and it just creates an avenue of training and learning far beyond. And so like I thought, I never assume I know anything like every day. That's why it's called a practice. So like in private practice, when I'm doing therapy with clients, every day I walk into it as a new day of learning.
I love that.
I have to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you get different skill sets and training like based on your background. And so like as a therapist, I had to go the therapy route with an ASEC license.
Right.
But it's a global license.
Okay.
And so it's kind of amazing because it kind of opens up the world, especially to hot redheads.
Okay.
Where you're like, I am qualified. I have my letters. Now, what would you like to talk about?
Oh my goodness. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious about everything. Like, I never want to claim to like be an expert or anything in this space. I literally jumped into my like kink journey a year and a half ago. Meaning I'd always been very sexual, but there was a lot of shame with it. And then a year and a half ago is when I came to a place of empowerment and clarity, and like just being able to find people in this space that are advocates that speak to it from a place of confidence. I was like, it gave me the permission to lean into all those sides of me, you know?
It feels so good to hear you say. I love that because I would say almost anybody that I talk to, you know, part of this profession that makes it complicated is it always feels like I'm defending it to, you know, just if I go to a random happy hour with a friend, you know, they'll ask what you do and they don't understand it. But in reality, I mean, this pertains to everybody because it's just about acceptance of self. And I don't know what your world in 7th grade looked like, but mine was a rough patch. So, I mean, my 20s were okay. Let's be real. Like,
go back to middle school trauma.
I'm like, oh, good. Here we go. But the idea of you saying coming out as, and for me, I look at all of this as acceptance of like what we consider marginalized in society. But realistically, I think it's the majority, and we're just not, I don't know, validated, you know, to speak openly about it.
That's what I want. I mean, that my entire intention for the podcast is just to talk more about sex and like do it in a fun, lighthearted way, because I think there's a lot happening. My last guest, we were talking about Gen Z and how like open-minded they seem to be versus millennials, and it's like there's a shift happening, and I want people to have places to go to listen to like candid conversations about sex and play, and it's a part of all of our lives, even if somebody is asexual. Like it's a very sexual culture and world, and it's just like it's a part of our lives. It's how we were all created.
Oh my gosh! So I'm like a mama, right?
Yes.
Got kiddos.
Yes. You have 4?
I do have 4.
That's fucking crazy. You have 4 kids in a
They are
practice.
14, 13, 5, and 3. I've got one son. He's 5. We can talk about how he like sneaks away to take a nap later and what that really looks like. But yeah, he's also, you know, part of a sex positive family. And so needless to say, I have this sex column with Giddy, right? And so every Tuesday, Thursday, another Q&A article, like people submit and I'll answer.
Yes, fun.
But it's so fun because it's infiltrating like people everywhere and their kids and their families and the culture. And so it's like, if I can just help any generation, whether they are like 72 or 6, it's just great because I feel like, you know, people like you and I get to make a shift in acceptance and higher self-esteem and better self-worth.
Definitely. Yeah. So what has your own sexual journey been of sexual exploration and,
Oh my gosh, where do I start? Like I am about to turn 40 in October, so it's a pretty lengthy journey.
Lengthy journey.
Lengthy journey.
I mean, let's go back to like how you were presented with sex by your parents, not by your parents, like how you were educated about it or lack of education, and we'll go from there.
Oh my God, like, you make me tear up. Like I love you, but oh my God.
It's fine. All emotions are welcome here.
Oh crap. So I didn't have a lot of education around sex. I did have a lot of character building, is what I like to refer to as like different kinds of trauma. And so I learned early on, sex is a way to, and I think so many people relate to this. I want you to love me and please pay attention to me. And therefore, if sex is what you want, then I'll give that to you, because then I'll get what I want, right?
Validation.
I want validation, and I want you to love me and care about me and pay attention to me. Yeah. And I would say, a sexual journey looks unique to all of us. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of experiences we have where, you learn it via entertainment, like porn. You learn it on the streets, like locker room talk and whatnot. But you're never truly educated about like really honest things. And so whether you're a virgin trying to get married or, a social outcast, quote, man whore, if you will, trying to be out there and slut shamed, I think all of us could use some clarity about sexuality and how we grow into our own journeys. Totally. And also like how we grow into our own control and choices of journeys sexually.
Yeah. And sex education is still, I haven't like had it since high school or middle school, but it's so biological and scientific, and it totally takes out like even the fact that there's going to be like arousal and emotions and hormones and attachments, and like there's just so much more to it. And I kind of hate that that's where our education system is at with sex ed, because it's rough, at least when I went through it.
So I grew up like in South Texas.
Okay.
You literally have to go through a checkpoint to get out of where I grew up from. Spring break, 1999, South Padre Island, like that's where I'm from.
Okay. I'm from Alaska, so I don't have a ton of Texas geography. But
oh my goodness. No, when you were born in Texas, by the way, like you take an entire year in 7th grade of Texas history. I know more about Texas, but I can't tell you like the difference between countries and states in Europe.
Texas would.
It's a culture. But I don't recall ever getting a sex education by any means. And so most of my education came from learning it just like everybody else, experimenting and friends and.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it can be challenging when porn is a reference point for people to learn, because a lot of what's out there is not how it really is in real life.
I love like the idea of, so like with porn, for example, I love the idea of learning technique, like intentionally. For example, I'll have a lot of clients who feel like they're in the dating scene. And mind you, majority of my clients are men. I specialize in men.
Okay.
I see couples, polycules, transgendered, et cetera. But I am, like one of 2 huge advocates on earth, right? I specifically advocate for men and men's sexual health and men's rights and self-esteem.
Good. Yes.
And so they're like, I don't know how to perform better. And I'm like, well, first of all, do you want to perform or pleasure your partner? Like, think about the wording.
Yeah.
But I'll refer to lesbian porn. I'm like, go take a look at what they're doing. But also consider this as an entertainment, not an education. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yes. I've talked about this before. I've had experiences when I tell a partner that I would prefer, like, I need a toy to come, that it's like the default reaction is like, well, let me see if I can do it. And I'm like, and then I have to educate, which I find I have to do quite a bit of in this space. And I'm like, that's kind of more about you and your performance rather than my pleasure. And so like, what's the actual intention here, But I also think that unfortunately for men, there is such a performative element for men in porn that they think it has to be this show, and it takes out the intuitive nature of it and the connected nature of it. And, yeah. What are some of the themes that you find with mostly male clients? You were just talking about wanting to do better or be better in bed, or,
I like right now how you said, and you are one of the few brave people out there that says, I really would like to orgasm, and this is what I would like to include.
Yes.
So, I look at sex as pleasure and play, because you can have the most pleasurable experience and never have intercourse.
Or never orgasm either.
Never orgasm.
Seem to be then.
Oh, I am not goal oriented. I'm like, but did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I think so many people though, like take it hard being, oh, I didn't make my partner come, or, oh, like my whole goal is to make this happen.
It's
there's
done when the man comes.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going, okay, like, let's back up. So oftentimes with men, there's a lot of premature ejaculation, a lot of delayed ejaculation, performance anxiety. Number one, how do I get my partner to do anal? Number two, how do I get my partner to have sex with me again, especially like in long-term relationships? And so, it's funny because if I say those themes, it's like for women listening, oh my God, I have to do this again, right?
Want to do anal.
And it's performance, exploration, but it's like obligation and pressure too. And so when working with men, there's like a beauty of, hey, since the moment I was conceived and somebody figured out I was going to be a boy, I was born, they put me in blue. They thought sports was my label.
Yes.
I was taught to be masculine. Don't cry. Don't be a sissy.
Yes.
And it's just a kind of amazing thing to watch somebody blossom in front of you when they're like, I just want to be nourished and nurtured and validated and seen and heard.
Yes.
And it's not that men are like weak or incapable of feelings and emotions. I think that they are raised without the opportunity to truly learn about feelings and emotions. Just like, women aren't truly raised to be seen like science and math, and this is okay to be smart, or it's okay to be dominant and don't sit back and look pretty and be made of sugar.
I so love that we're having this conversation right now. I like wasn't sure kind of what one of the themes would be of our conversation since I didn't know much about you, but like this is so important. I think I was talking about it with my last guest. I've had this sense of this switch in empathy lately for men because I had a lot of negative dating experiences on field with men that were saying they were dominant and had experience, but they really didn't. And it just didn't go how I wanted. But now as I've switched into this more kind of switchy role and played around with dominant energy in the bedroom and with men, it's a lot of responsibility. And I am like loving being in this kind of mentor space for guys that are generally kind of younger with me. It's not mentor, but it is. I don't know how to explain it.
No,
but
I get it.
It's like men that are curious about exploring power dynamics and being more submissive. It's like really giving me hope for men in the patriarchy because I'm connecting with all of these men that are sweet and in touch and like soft and I don't want to say everybody that's submissive is a certain way, but like the men that I've been playing with have been this certain type of person that just gives me a lot of hope for the way that men are connecting with their emotions and healing these kind of patriarchal things of, having difficulty connecting with emotions and communicating and these kind of past things that I think a lot of men are up against. I don't know if that was a cohesive thought.
So I sort of love that segue because and this is again, I'm gonna switch it back over to women then. I would say with my play partners, there's like so much psychology behind it. And so I'm gonna go with like dominant submissive. Let's just
tell me about your play partners.
Okay.
Tell me about your life.
Let's do it.
We're all over the place. But.
I am excited. If that's okay with you, I bounce around, but I'll
same.
back.
Yeah. We'll get back to it. I would love to know about your current.
It's just that
world.
Like when when you talk about, I'm exploring the idea of being a switch, right? Mm-hmm. I look at like family of origin and siblings, and just to give you an example. So if I have a partner and he's like, I want you to dominate me, I want you to tie me up and use the ropes and use the whips and all the good things, exploration with like different kinds of lube and anal play and toys, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
My first thought initially was, you can go fuck yourself. I am the oldest of 4. I'm a leader and a therapist in private practice. I am a mother of 4.
You're fucking tired. You want to be tied up now.
Hell yeah. I want to fucking dominate you. I want to be taken care of and nurtured, and I want to just relinquish and release, and I don't want to make not one more decision today. So playtime for me in that moment and that suggestion was just off-putting because I'm like, I need to focus on not being a leader. And so in my everyday personal and professional life, if my job is to lead and make choices and decisions and help and guide, take care of me, take care of me. Everybody wants something, right? And that's like me referring more to like a play partner or a spouse or a kid, obviously. Then in the playtime arena, I want to relinquish those responsibilities. Not that I'm taking on another character. I just need to embrace a different role that will take care of me. I mean, I'm really big on my favorite quote, my favorite book in the world is Sexual Outsiders.
Okay.
Come to the dark side, we have cookies. I love that because it's come play, come enjoy, come embrace. Nothing's weird or wrong with it. Yeah. But in the end, some people are straight up into kink and playtime just because they want to be cuddled and coddled and nurtured later.
Yeah.
It's just so therapeutic in nature. But I mean, when you say I decided to switch and now I'm a mentor, I love it and respect it. I too kind of went that direction with partners as well.
It's just fun to play. Like all of it for me feels like play in that way. And I think it's Midori. She's in the space. She had a quote about it being like BDSM is like grown up playtime. And it is for me because it's like I don't have I'm a very creative person, but like I don't have outlets that use this part of my brain. I don't know what it is, but I think it's like the ability to focus and to create pleasure and to do things I've never done before. But it is just supposed to be fun at the end.
What are your ideas or what's your own involvement when you come into negotiating what your play is going to look like?
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier today. I mean, honestly, after my last guest, I'm like, I need to work on my pre-scene negotiation scripts a bit. I actually like to do a lot of the conversation prior to like meeting, or it is written. Like I like to generally, like over the last year, it's been I'll start chatting with somebody on field. We'll have like a FaceTime date and I'll kind of vibe it out from there. But if it is generally moving to like we are going to play, there's a lot of, I feel like we'll usually like sext a bit first to kind of, I like to explore what somebody's turns on and kinks are when they're horny and then like over text. And then we kind of go from there in terms of like, okay, these are going to be on the table, off the table when we play. I mean, for me, I have a couple of like hard no's. Like I don't want to be spit on or slapped, but like in general, I think I get to do a bit more work of pre-scene negotiation, I guess. If I'm playing with people that are less experienced, because there's a responsibility there to, I think, show people the way of what makes a good partner, makes a good play partner. So I think I get to do a bit more there. But for me, it's generally like in the moment we're playing and I'm like, this is how I come. This is what I like. And we just go with it.
Yeah, your playtime sounds like a lot of work. Like, I'm hearing like a mom, an educator.
Oh, Jesus.
A placater, which is great.
We're going into session.
If you're getting turned on. No, because I mean, I feel like everybody's style, like there's no good, bad, right, or wrong.
Yeah.
But
a lot of doing.
I'm just like huge on, well, I like both though. Like I like what you do, only I think more structure is a little bit better. So, okay, I think it's how opposite we can be. So in my own play world, right? In therapy session world, I literally teach negotiation to everybody, right? Good. I hate compromise because then nobody gets what they want. And I feel like we're just taught to compromise and be like, okay, let's settle. Negotiation though, it's like, okay, objectively, like, what do you want and what do you need? Where do we align? Let's agree and consent to it. Go at it. Aftercare. Pretty simple, right? Until you get into it. I'm like, yeah, textbook style. Right. Beautiful and pretty. Right. But we have, as you mentioned earlier, attachments and feelings and ideas and sensations.
Yes. It's much more robust.
So opposite of you, I need a friendship with people. I am like, nope, do not even try to sext me. Ain't nobody looking for any nudes. And I'm like, I'm going to meet up with you. And if I could feel like we could be awesome friends, then I am going to trust you in the arena with vulnerability. I mean, any kind of play session, dominant, submissive, switching it up, it requires vulnerability and trust.
A lot of trust.
And I need to know that I can have a cocktail or coffee with you. I need to know that you make me laugh here and now. I don't care if we're wearing clothes or not, but I need to know that you can make me laugh because I need to laugh in playtime. And if we bump heads or teeth or it's not perfect, right, then I need to know that you and I can get through it together. And it's going to be, quote, successful no matter what because we're having fun with each other's company.
Definitely. Yeah, I had somebody like think I was laughing at them once and I was like, no, like this, to me, this is lighthearted, you know, like it's, there should be space
we need to talk about your play partners.
Well, let me go back to the mothering and the educating part. I find that even though I'm only like a year and a half into this, that I have far more experience than anybody that I'm connecting with. And so
when you say a year and a half, I feel like this is how we're like built and born and it's innate so much and we just maybe don't have the tools to express. So what do you mean by a year and a half?
Totally. Yes. So I've always been very sexual and had a ton of partners, but it was kind of riddled with secrecy and shame and like behind closed doors, or I was the friend, like the slutty friend, and just kind of like, oh, I've got the stories. And then it was a year and a half ago that I basically went to my first play party, and I started going to sex parties and events and just became ingrained in like the kink community. So I would say it was the shift from going from it being kind of something I felt shame about to an empowered thing. And like, oh, there's a lot of really wonderful people out there, and going to events and going and like watching people play and just like having my mind blown by the whole world and community was what started happening. And concurrently, I started hooking up with people from Field and dating through that platform.
Like when I hear you say that, that's like one of my biggest aspirations, right, for advocacy. You know, being kinky in isolation is so hard, and I think it creates like so much mental anguish and anxiety, etc.
Yeah, and wrongness.
And it's just like, oh yeah, it's wrong. Oh God, let's shame you. But then, you know, if you go to a munch or like a play party, just intimate, like a house setting, and everybody is under the same ideas, same rules, if you will. Like we're all here for the same reason. Yeah. We have similar intentions and we're not skeezy and creepy. Like this isn't a rape scene, you know, unless you want it to be, at like some gross pool bar. Like this is a legitimate space of acceptance and welcoming. One of my favorite things is, you know, like to go to play parties, you know, like if you go to like a house play party, for example, they kind of like somebody to speak or just kind of guide and lead the party. That's something I love to do where I'm like, let me give you like 15 minutes of inspiration, 10 minutes of Q&A. Okay, everybody, go play. I'm going to go have a cocktail. Nice to see you. Bye.
The MC. You're the play party MC.
I want to be the kink party MC. Hell yeah.
Do you ever have issues navigating like that part of your life with having a therapy practice? Like, does somebody ever accidentally show up that's a client, or like how do you create boundaries in that?
So licensure world, right? I talk with my hands. I have no idea if that's okay.
Yeah.
Licensure world over here. Every license has its own rules, blah, 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 boundaries.
Austin's just fucking small.
Seriously though? Yeah. The world is small.
Yes.
I mean, I've been like everywhere I travel, I meet people and then I run into them again and I'm like, hi. Because I like humans, right? So navigating the boundaries for me, I never play when I go to these things. I share so much of myself with my clients in therapy because why the hell would they divulge all of their stuff And sex therapy is deep. It's not like, oh, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
It's how can I make great better? How can I make good different? How can I evolve and grow? And so I often use my life and divulge pieces of myself to them based on my own experiences just to help build rapport. And it's consistent.
Yeah.
So if I speak at, like, for example, like an intimate house party for kink play, that's when I'm like, okay, y'all have fun, bye. And I, hypocritically, I would say, sort of remain in that isolated space of like, this is who I know and this is who I'll play with and it's on my terms. But I'm also really big on don't tell other people's stories.
Sure.
Not everybody, knows how to file or fall into that category.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have a primary partner?
I do.
Can you tell me about your little world?
Define primary.
Are you married?
So, yes, I'm legally married. That's a weird, complicated story to tell.
That's okay. You also don't have to talk about.
Oh my God!
You're not
I talk about all the
with.
things. So, in the greater gist of things, it's not that it's complicated. I'd say that it's also a personal motivator to be advocate within polyamorous, open, non-monogamy communities.
Yes.
So I would say I've got a primary partner that I'm legally married to, and we raise our kiddos together, and it's fabulous. I'd say, though, I've got partners where I've known them for over 10 years. We talk always. We might visit each other twice a year, and it's just the most phenomenal experience with or without sexual play.
Yeah.
I've got specific partners, right? And I'm going to nickname them, right? So,
Sure.
And I do this with my clients too.
Yeah.
So there's the sexy Egyptian guy, or maybe there's the super hot, athletic guy, or there's the super gorgeous, my whole everything life partner. Oh my goodness gracious, ride or die. And then kind of other people in between, right? And so when I look at my primary partner, I asked you to define it because I can't. Every partner I have has a purpose, and I, at the same, not servitude, but I serve them in the same way.
Yeah.
So one partner is amazing at making me laugh and smile and motivate me. We literally listen to music, and he knows how to make me, music is my big thing, by the way. I make playlists, and I love DJs, and I love concerts, and our bond.
I just saw you traveling for music.
Oh yeah,
I love your Instagram.
all over the place doing that. I'm yay, going to New York.
I think you're the coolest mom I've met.
I'm Electric Zoo, let's do it.
Just saying.
Thanks.
Truly.
I hope to be. If at least 2 out of 4 kids end up, liking me, then I think I've done.
There's usually a couple years where it'll be challenging, but they'll all come around.
Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping. But I don't know. I see myself as having very equal partnerships with everyone because the purpose that we provide to one another is so beautiful and brilliant and sentimental and special.
So you consider yourself polyamorous?
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
And some partners are, very monogamous and traditional and...
with you? Or
right, yeah. They'll be very monogamous and traditional, seeking exclusivity. Some will not give a flying fuck about it. And they're Savannah, oh my God, let me tell you about the horrific dates I just went on.
Yeah.
And the amazing sex I had with somebody last night.
Oh, you're talking about the boundaries of what you disclose and share.
Right. And so I would say I absolutely adore, though, probably... I'm really excited about the people I have in my life.
That's beautiful. I think that as I began to open up to polyamory, it feels so my life just is beginning to feel so full in such a good way. And it wasn't feeling that way because there was this pressure to find the person that meets all of these needs, which is never going to happen. And
quote of the day, nobody can be anybody's everybody.
Yes. And even in polyamory, even having 3 amazing partners, that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. Or, you know, I think it's Dan Savage always says, like, you're still going to have to round up, which I love because it's very true. But like having, you know, right now I have like an older partner who's the more like dominant energy in my life. And I go to him as a mentor. And then I have somebody younger that I'm playing with where it's kind of the reversed roles. And then I'm like just also dating, kind of vanilla dating on like Hinge and just like trying to connect with people and entrepreneurs. And my life just feels full in that way. And I don't think that would have ever happened if I had just stuck with monogamy.
This episode of Sex Talk Radio is brought to you by Afterglow. 1 in 3 women watch porn every week, but as many of us know, most content out there is not created for the female gaze. Afterglow creates content for everyone, so go ahead and check it out at xoafterglow.com. Go to xoafterglow.com and use code EXOTHEA to try a week free. Be sure to check out my favorite video they have, Lip Service.
Monogamy's difficult. I think this is kind of where my specialty as a professional and my intuitive just personality sort of blend, but also conflict. You know, I love that I can have, so this is, I'm kind of like spinning in my head, right? Because I'm listening to your perspective and how your life sort of evolves within each partner. And I'm picking up on like how you also take the role of like educating some, you have mentors and others. My partnerships are all friends.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I look at it that way. And maybe it's like partial like demi/sapiosexuality, like who the hell knows? But I fall in love with wit and banter, conversation. So I separate sex into a lot of things. I think sex is everything, right? I mean, sexuality is like, how do you express yourself and what did you wear today and whatnot? But I think it's also, you know, about pleasure, play, and intimacy. Intimacy is probably my favorite part because it's what's sustainable long-term forever and ever, where if I can bond with you, like I want a connection with you and I want to dance and I want to sing and I want to play. Maybe with another partner, they're just like really intense and kind of neurotic, but super smart. They're fun.
We love those guys.
Yep. I take them in like very small doses though. Some people are very giving. Some people are very much about taking. But I think in all of it, the connection is what separates each dynamic. And ultimately, if you can't pleasure yourself and you're not happy by yourself, like the others are just going to fill voids. So
totally. And it's not to say I don't have like deep connections or relationships that I'm building with these people. I think for me, I'm more recently trying to navigate having a somewhat anxious attachment style with also being kinky. Don't know if you like to talk about attachment styles.
I love it. I literally just wrote a column like last night about how do
help me.
The question was
free therapy session.
Oh my God, let's do it. Yeah. The question was, how do I get someone to like me? And I'm like,
move on to a different person.
Oh my gosh. Look, I love and appreciate you should be the therapist. Something's like definitely wrong with me. My first thing was I was like, fuck them. Who cares? You don't need it. Nobody needs to like you. And then like literally that's how I started my column last night, writing it. Yeah. You went, oh, and I went, oh, hell no. Like I went with you are amazing. Yeah. What do you want in life? The energy that you put out there is the energy that you receive. I love your warm tenderness, and I like how it's kind of a balance to mine. Like, no, go stand up for yourself. It's gonna be okay.
And it's coming from the same place of like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like
I get rejected all the time, and it sucks. I've been rejected my whole life.
Oh man, I mean both genders get there's always rejection at play. Someone's always doing the rejecting. Okay, but back to anxious attachment style, because I do want to get your free therapy on this. I definitely have an anxious attachment style if somebody is avoidant. If somebody is just secure and clear and showing up in a way, I can come secure to that. But I also have ADHD, and there's also something called rejections, like sensitivity dysphoria. There's something else that I can relate to. And I find it unique navigating being like kind of super sexual, slutty, whatever I am, because I think I release different chemicals with sex than a guy does. And maybe you can speak to this better than I could, but like a guy can have sex and come and be kind of like, okay, see you later. And then I'm like, well, now I know what my aftercare needs are, which is I want communication that night and the next day, even if we're never going to see each other again, because I just need that. And
you don't want to be the cum dumpster. You want to be treated like a human.
Like a human. And, so I don't know where I was going with all of this, but yeah, like I find that women struggle a bit more, even if they are having really casual sex or one night stand with somebody, of feeling these feelings towards the person, even if they don't want to, because of the exchange and how, I mean, our bodies are primed to be making babies. Like we want this guy to stick around, and the guy's primed to like make a bunch of babies. So I struggle to navigate this almost like biological response I have with sex that I can't control, as well as having an anxious attachment style.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't know that I would, and this is kind of something that's easy to pick up on. I don't know that anxious attachment is who you are. You seem so secure, but so secure. I'm going to follow through with this. I feel like you seem like a really secure human.
Yes.
But that, unfortunately, does attract anxious people and avoidant-styled people, where they will cling on to you quickly, love you to death, and then push you away really quickly because you're anxious. Too much, and you're like, excuse me, wait, what? Why am I second-guessing myself?
Yeah.
Or I can see you very much attracting somebody who is insecure, and they see your boldness and your strength and your beauty and confidence, cling on to that. Oh, you're welcome, girl. You got this. But then they cling on to that, and then they're like, okay, never mind. I absorbed all your goodness, and now I'm going to bail and go be awesome. And then that leaves us feeling depleted. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
I want to validate that you know who you are. You are your own expert, but also like I can totally pick up and seeing like how different partners might pull that out of you.
Avoidant. I have a sixth sense for emotionally unavailable and avoidant partners.
But you're so caring and loving and nurturing. Like, oh my God, I'd be like, please take care of me too. I want to be loved. Like, oh my gosh. And so it's like it's like a strength to a fault, right?
Yeah.
And so it's all about, kind of what space are you working within? I love how you said, I need to really focus on my needs and wants and aftercare.
Mm-hmm. And voicing them. It took me so long to get comfortable in voicing them. And now I know this motherfucker does not text me.
Oh my gosh. But like when you were talking about, biological, right?
Yeah.
So an example I often use is, okay, when there is a miscommunication in sexual wants and needs between two humans, and we'll just go with male, female for the sake of argument for right now. Caveman style, we haven't really evolved. So it's like, right. I'm a man and there's a dinosaur chasing me and I'm going to go fuck everything I can to like spread my seed and keep myself going. A woman is like, Are you fucking kidding me? There's a dinosaur coming.
Yeah.
Get the hell away from me. I'm going to go save myself and live. I'm not going to sit around here to like carry your baby and be eaten and do this alone. Right? Hunter-gatherer all the way.
Yeah. Oh, we're still there.
And so caveman style, right? I think a lot of people misunderstand their levels of, I hate the word libido. I use the word sexual energy. Mm-hmm. And with sexual
there's
energy,
a lot of variance there.
There is
just saying like I have low libido or high.
I have low libido or high. I'm going, okay, physical, mental, emotional,
sure, spiritual,
not necessarily Jesus and golden cow, but like the energy you have.
Or for women, I'm like, well, are you coming?
Right.
But, yeah.
Or squirting, which is good. It's a good topic. We should bring that in there. But it's like the whole idea around, it's not about necessarily like who's going to be the leader and who's going to take charge and who's better at having sex or wanting sex and who initiates, right? It's about understanding what you want and need as an individual for your own orgasms and your own connection and your own emotional healing. Again, I'm going to refer to Sexual Outsiders because I'm obsessed with it. I love the idea that kink and BDSM are in fact incredibly therapeutic and healing in a play scene.
Yes.
Understanding that vulnerability, working through your biggest fears, but knowing full on, what are we going to do to come out of this? What's our safe word? And it's not, you know, so many people are like, oh my God, that's weird. Or why are you just weird sexually? I'm like, why are you so closed-minded sexually? I mean, seriously.
I will say it's easy to judge and hard to understand when you haven't like firsthand experienced that healing. I wouldn't say I was like outwardly judgmental towards like kinky people or people in the BDSM scene. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why somebody would like being flogged or tied up or whatever it might be until I experienced it. And one of the things that I'm really curious about and like love talking to guests about is like why we like the things we like. And I do ask that we could make some generalizations because I think that there are some generalizations we can make with like dominant or submissive, or just like you were saying, like you're making decisions all day. You'd like somebody else to make them for once. But that whole world is very curious to me. And for me, I have some pretty severe childhood trauma around getting in trouble. Like literally the police called in trouble to scare me into being a good girl. And it was really intense and it really fucked me up. And I've never shared that on the podcast. And I now see correlations between why I like being told I'm a good girl and why I like, you know, the praise kink as we're doing really bad taboo things, being told that I'm good, as well as like why I do chase novelty and excitement and taboo things, because I'm like healing this inner child that was just told I was bad. And so being bad in a way that is safe, it's healing and it's deep. And I think that one of the first person that got me into the space was a dominatrix, and she's very into BDSM and shibari for healing. And when I first heard that, I just didn't get it. And now I really get it, because we are undoing and coming up against, like traumas and deep wounds and healing them through like play and arousal. And it's crazy.
I am so grateful that, well, one, for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the greatest piece to what people don't acknowledge is nobody understands the healing and therapeutic aspects around kink and BDSM. People might go with why and what's wrong with me. And my first answer is, nothing's wrong with you. Can we talk about what motivates you? What works for you? Through my own self-reflection, I love how you talked about like inner child. I didn't grow up with parents really. Like nobody raised me. And I had, you know, people somewhat present in my life, but it was not the most sustainable or supportive.
And you were raising your siblings.
Right. And so ultimately, you know, as an adult looking at inner child needs and wants, right? It's very prevalent for me to say. I grew up my whole life. I was always loud. I was always singing and talking. As a kid, I was really smart. I was really like a lot taller than everybody. And, you know, as a kid, they were like, Savannah, shut up. Oh my God, stop talking, shut up. And as an adolescent, you know, I've been public speaking since I was 9, and I found a space where I wasn't told to shut up.
Good.
But then I went into theater, and in theater, you know, I succeeded. I was like best actress in 8th grade.
Totally see that, yeah.
But then, you know, like best actress like all through high school. But then the issue was like my family of origin did not accept me. And so that's where that whole
did not accept that loudness.
They
like
didn't
that
accept
part of you.
me. I'm just like out there.
Did they accept your other siblings? Or
yeah, absolutely.
It was target.
And so I was always kind of the different one, and you know, what really became painful, and this is where, again, like the kink and polyamory come in as myself as a human, right? It's so hard, even as an adult, you know, to have the best relationship with a partner. And in playtime, it's so in sync and there's so much love to be shared and affection. I mean, love is infinite. It's not like you run out of it. But then I'm told, well, you know, you're not invited to go out with our friends, or you and I are okay, but only on the one-on-one space. And so when I talk about my connection to people being friendships first, everyone loves the friendship. Everyone loves the playtime, but nobody loves like the Savannah that is outgoing, like the thing they fall in love with, outgoing, and I'm loud and I'm outspoken and I just love and accept and adore all the people. It's like they fall in love with it, and then in one reason or another, they also want to hide it. So there's so much, you know, so much healing in the kink play, and so much healing in switch for me, like dominant versus submissive, right? Because in some ways I'm like, let me express my leadership and prove to you, like, you can be proud of me and I'm amazing. The other sense of submissive is you love me, accept me, nurture, coddle me when I never was. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that's beautiful. And yeah, I just resonate with that desire to be all sides of you to be shown by a partner or shown off by a partner. That's beautiful. And so, sorry. I don't even know what to say. I love understanding where those things stem from, the things that we like in the bedroom. And I just think, you know, if I could honestly reiterate any piece of anything to people listening or watching, it's like the default about a specific kink shouldn't be shame, what's wrong with me, because that is just the go-to. It should be like the curiosity you mentioned, getting curious, understanding. Maybe it's tied to something. Maybe it's just fucking not, you know, it doesn't always have to correlate. I'm very much like an analytical person. So I want to like put all the pieces together, but it's also okay to just understand that like, this thing makes me feel good. This thing makes me feel safe.
I resonate more with that. You know, as a therapist, right, you're supposed to be super analytical and in touch. I'm like, no, let's compartmentalize. That is way too much shit to handle.
What feels good?
I know, right? Yeah. I'm like, if it don't feel good, don't do it, right? And I find so much joy, though, when, you know, a lot of people are like, I have this fetish, right? And so I talk a lot about exhibitionism, voyeurism. I talk about fetishes around, you know, feminine clothing, identity. Gosh, I'd say my favorite humans in the world are like, please tell me I'm normal that. So vor is a big one that for one reason or another, a lot of play partners are very scared to share, like the art of like being consumed, or giantess fetish where, you know, they want to be small and little and have a woman like come and stomp all over them and crush them. And I'm over here like, oh my God, go on Amazon and buy these cardboard blocks that are in multiple colors. Yes, they're your preschool toys, but like build your own city with tiny cars, crawl into it and let that happen. I never emphasize learning the why. I emphasize accepting the motivator, the how, the fun, the pleasure. I'm like, who gives a shit why? Yeah. I don't care why. I mean, I'll go into it, family of origin, but like, who cares? Like, are you having fun doing it?
So family of origin, meaning a lot of those things tie back to childhood traumas and family dynamics.
Right. And so trauma looks like a lot of things. It can be traumatic to like get up and have your chalk break when you were trying to practice cursive in second grade. It can be traumatic to have somebody say, this happened to me. No, not at all. You have DSLs in the 7th grade. I'm like, what is that?
I don't know what that is.
They're dick sucking lips. Oh. So, yeah. I didn't know what that meant, but I tell you what, I didn't wear lipstick or lip liner, like, I don't know, ever again. And so it's like those kinds of things, right? Like trauma doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, like Freudian trauma.
Yes.
Trauma can be something that we just had a really hard time accepting or experiencing or processing.
Yeah. I need to stop being obsessed with why I like the things I like, I guess.
Well,
I just find it so fascinating.
I love
when the light bulbs go off.
Right.
When I go, oh, I had a lot of getting in trouble that happened. So I like now getting in trouble in a safe space that has boundaries and rules.
I'm like, oh, nobody wanted to give me attention, so put me up in ropes and let's post a picture on Instagram. I want to look like a trapeze artist. Or, let's do boudoir photography.
Sure.
It's all like these personal reasons about healing and growth. But at the same time, who are you defending them to and who are you validating them to? Your own affirmation needs to be, I enjoy this.
Totally. Yeah, I try to practice a lot of self-awareness, and now I'm getting curious. I'm like, maybe it's because I still want to like justify being in the space, being in BDSM. Oh, well, I like it because I understand the correlation or something. Yeah, I'll unpack that in therapy next week. But I love how you invite your clients into play, and let's get on Amazon. Like do it. I mean, that's like what I want part of my message to be is like, just do it. Maybe you haven't found the perfect play partner yet, but like explore yourself.
I need to correct really quickly because sometimes people misunderstand. So just real quick.
Yeah.
So a sex therapist is a mental health professional. I'm going like super PSA real quick.
Sure.
A sex therapist is a mental health professional licensed to help in a therapeutic setting. And then we specialize and talk about these things. So anyway, when you said invite them into a play space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a literal one.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, not with them.
I just have to clarify
Yeah,
that.
yeah, of course.
On Amazon, I get some pretty random messages from people. I'm like,
No, sorry. I just meant you support them in executing their fantasies.
Oh, my gosh, yes. If I can provide them with, like, tools and supplements and, like, I'm big on that. Like, I will tell anybody. I once had a guy, he was going to have some major surgery. And he's super sexual and so into his masculinity and just fucking amazing as a partner. And so he and his wife were like, what can we do? And I said, I'm going to go research different contraptions. So I went to a website that has like the best of the best toys. So that in the healing process, I mean, if we take away sex from him, like that is his identity and his masculinity and who he is. And so I found them a thing that essentially would be like a neck pillow and the restraints so that she could ride him on top. And he and she, you know, could be sexually fun and play and whatever. But he's not going to get his heart rate up too high in the moment of like.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm not a doctor and like cardiac whatever, but
yeah,
I was
trying to create.
I was like there are solutions to all the challenges. And like, if I don't know it right now, I'm like, hold that thought. Let me text it to myself and I will get back to you later.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think everybody deserves to have pleasure and fun. And there really are, you spoke to the isolation, which I think is very common for people that have desires and fantasies like this. And it's like, there are people out there that want to explore that with you, like truly.
You got to remember too, though, kink, BDSM play is so subjective.
Totally.
So earlier, you know, you used the word like you said, maybe I've got like a switch here. I'm dominant here. I'll be submissive here. This is my mentor. But then I've got vanilla hinge. So, you know, working with people, I never assume. I walk into every scenario like dumb as a sack of rocks going, what does this mean to you? I mean, I've had polycules say, you know, we're really vanilla. We want to make this better. And I'm like,
everyone has a different definition of every single one of those things.
So I'm going, what does vanilla mean? They're like, well, I mean,
the gangbang
every Saturday.
No.
Yes. Every Saturday, like I go ahead and peg him and then, you know, we do the nipple clamps. Now, that's their version of vanilla.
Right.
And so
I don't want to generalize. I try hard not
and like
to.
vanilla for you it's getting boring. Okay.
Or what I meant with that is like, I don't know. This is new territory for me to like have the podcast and have the podcast take off. And like, do I bring it up? Do I get judgment? Do some guys unmatch? Yeah. I like dating on kink forward apps because it's just, I just get to be really like, it feels very full.
Feel
who I get to be.
Do you use anything else like FetLife or?
I just created a FetLife recently, but, and I get a lot of I've gotten a lot of creepy messages on there, but like, I don't know of too many other resources. I know like the Pure app and Field app, but,
I just feel like people are always looking for resources and
Where to
things
go?
but things like podcasts allow you to navigate resources, right? Like, okay, 1, I'm normal. 2, I'm not the only one out there. 3, where do I go next to explore?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to work on that. I have some kind of like tech ideas that are in the ideation phase. Like I'd love to create something that's missing. I feel like there's certain communities and platforms missing.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So you want to make an app together?
Sure.
So you want to be best friends and build bunk beds in the garage?
I have a type form actually that I'm working on for people in the adult space and the adult content creation space that's like a zillion questions because I want to find the biggest problem and like solve it. Yeah, doing a lot of fixing and solving.
Sexual compatibility. I'm going to give you that. That's a theme. Like, how do I match up with somebody who wants as much sex as I do or wants to play in the direction I want to play?
Could drag a little slidey thing for
oh my gosh.
libidos and kinks and
fetishes. My gosh, no, I love that you said that.
Scale.
Everything is on a spectrum. Yes. I say everything and every person's on a spectrum. And I always kind of like do this margin of here's an extreme and here's this, but then everybody falls on a spectrum of some type or another.
Well, and it's healing to explore the gray area. I would say I'm a bit of an extremist and like I didn't drink for 3.5 years. I like to go all in on something and go too far and then find the middle area and the gray area. And like, for me, I very much wanted to like identify as like straight or wait, what am I? If I'm like kind of attracted to women's boobs, but I don't want to have sex with her. And like, I feel like what's cool about the kink space is that there is just a lot of space holding for the gray area. And
I live my world in gray.
Teach me.
And I'm like, and I love boobs. I love boobs. No, I've had clients
I really
like,
don't want to have sex with women, but I really like just.
I think boobs are fun and I think they're fantastic. And oh my God, this is like me since I was 5 years old. I was like, Mom, I want a bra and I want boobs. Like, God help me. Maybe I should have been breastfed. I don't know. But I mean, it's not about a label. It's like, that's fun and I'm okay with it. Like, I don't.
Yes.
Would I ever want to personally lick a clit? No, it's not for me. I wish I could every day. I'm like, please, God, let me be a lesbian because I know that I would be so happy. But like, it's not happening for me.
Same.
And
I tried to pray this straight away.
I'm like, please, thank you, right? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am like one of the most fun people to take in a group of guys at the strip club because I'm like, fun, boobies.
I would totally love to go to the strip club.
It's so fun.
We take field trips there, yes.
Field trips are fun. Oh my gosh,
we take field trips to the strip club and we just like admire women taking money from men because it's really fun.
Do a field trip for your podcast where we get to like, basically we're going to do like 2 birds, 1 stone.
Sure.
We're going to make them feel good and make money and we'll make them feel good. And then maybe like we just feel good because we did good for all these people.
I like watching, like I'm obviously very curious and observant, and I just like watching at the strip club because it's fascinating to me to watch what is like the oldest profession of the exchange and dynamic of like giving money to women for being pretty. It's so fun to watch. And then also I actually admire the restraint I see practiced of like men not being overly like they're being good boys. They're not going too far. Well, what? The last couple of times I've gone.
Okay.
What? Yeah, I mean, I know bad things can happen. It's more of just like.
No, I'm thinking.
The last few times I've seen a lot of respect practiced for women.
Okay.
And
have you been to the cabana rooms though?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway.
So I'm a big fan of sex work. No, I'm a big fan of. No, it's all good. I love where you're going with that, and I'm all about sex work. I have a big coffee mug in my office. Sex work is real work.
It is.
And I mean, I consider myself in the world of sex work, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I love working with all kinds of like dancers, transactional relationships, that kind of a thing, because it's all about like, again, acceptance and nourishment of them. But holy cow. Like the stories, I'm like, you know what, girl, like this is what you need to be better at. This is what, like, hustle for your money, but also work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
Maybe in public, they'll have their hands behind their back. But the cabana room, it's like, no. You tell them their boundaries. Like, I love educating women on.
Yeah.
Tell them their boundaries and, like, educate Tell them what you're okay with. Tell them what they're paying for. Be upfront. Don't have fear.
Yeah.
Because I think, ultimately, like, no matter what profession you're in, I'm a big fan of transactional sex, right? There's a lot of boundaries in play, and it excludes a lot of emotions, and that can create some very healthy exploration.
Definitely.
But also, again, like, consensually, like, have out your negotiation before they give you money.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mean to sound too naive about that. Just more of like, I think it's fascinating how if a guy does leave and there's nothing, that happens beyond that, of like, it's fascinating to me that a guy just would go sit there and watch with like a boner for hours and just be like, all right, I'm going to leave now.
Yeah. What a tease.
I know, what a tease.
I think I recently posted some dumb quote on Instagram. I was like, watching porn is like watching the Food Network. You leave hungry and starved and unfulfilled.
I literally can't watch Chopped. I'm like, I'm hungry.
I'm starving. And I've got like
watching porn,
peanuts and raisins and expired, maybe lactose-free milk. Like, what can I do with this? Because I'm certainly not going to make that gourmet meal.
Oh my gosh, what a tease.
I know, right?
Man, well, this has been fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me think. What I like to end it with like a little bit of advice. And what advice would you give to somebody maybe currently experiencing shame about their kinks or desires? Maybe they don't have the resources to talk to somebody or to get a therapist. And what would you say to them?
So first I would start with the whole reason I do guest appearances, and thank you for having me, is because I don't think professional advice or educated information should be to those who are privy to afford it or have insurance.
Sure.
So for me, like, my ultimate career goal is some version of kind of what you're doing as a talk show. Yeah. I just want to provide as much like holistic awareness for free because everyone deserves it.
Yeah.
Second, I'd segue into there is no good, bad, right, or wrong. There isn't. Nothing is wrong with anybody. And as I, started off with you saying, it's not about why. It's not about what's wrong or not about what's normal and what society shames and blames. It's all about understanding acceptance and knowing that your motivator that brings you pleasure is okay, as long as it's, consensual and not abusive to anybody. But outside of that, so many people just need to be validated, because I say that I specialize in marginalized sexuality, but I don't think it's marginalized. I think that people need to be told it's not scary and it's not fearful and you will be accepted. Honestly, I think it's the majority of people, not the minority of people, that want to experience something outside of traditional sexuality.
Yes. And when it's brought up, everyone gets so curious. I mean, I'm sure you've encountered this. Like, if you say the word sex therapist or it's people are so excited and curious and have questions, and they want to, with me at least, they want to chat. They want to feel safe and to communicate about that stuff. And I would love to see you have a talk show, because I think that like your energy is just it's very safe and inviting. And even just the way you helped me reframe like my desire to like dissect things, when it's like, let this be fun, let this be pleasurable, and like let that be enough of a driver, because that's important. The play and the pleasure is fun, or it's important. And you really create a safe space for that.
Oh, thank you so
curiosity.
Much. You create a safe space. You are the best human ever. I'm so grateful that you're putting this out there for people.
Yes, of course. Yes. And I think we have a strip club date to attend too,
I cannot wait. I am up for the field trip.
Cool.
All right.
All right, girl.
It was so good to meet you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye. I never know how to end these.
Thank you so much for tuning into Sex Talk Radio. I hope you found this conversation to be expansive and fun. Please come connect with me on Instagram at Sex Talk Radio Podcast. That is spelled SEGGS. and I would love to see you inside of the Sexy Society, which is an online community for kink and sex positive women. Thank you so much.